I'm Herminia. The memory of that fateful day still burns bright in my mind. I was standing at the end of the aisle, ready to start a new chapter with the love of my life, only to be met with rows upon rows of empty white chairs. It was as if my heart had been punched, and the pain was almost unbearable. My daughter, the sweetest flower girl, squeezed my hand and whispered, "Why didn't they come?" Her innocent words hit me like a sledgehammer. But instead of crumbling, I took a deep breath, reached for my phone, and made a single call. As I made that call, I was transported back in time, to a childhood filled with the constant shadow of my brother, Leo Blackwood. My parents, Arthur and Vivian Blackwood, were wealthy socialites. They were the kind of people who cared more about appearances and status than about the feelings of their children. Leo was their golden child, the one who could do no wrong. Growing up, if Leo drew a simple stick figure, it was hailed as a masterpiece. My parents would frame it and put it on display as if it were a work of art from the Louvre. Meanwhile, when I graduated at the top of my class, they would frown and ask why I hadn't achieved the highest honors. In their eyes, Leo was the sun, and I was just a tiny planet orbiting around him. I remember the day I announced my engagement to Henry Stone. We had planned a beautiful wedding at a luxurious beach resort in Malibu. I was over the moon with happiness, dreaming of our future together. But I should have known that Leo wouldn't let me have my moment of glory. Just 3 days after my announcement, Leo dropped a bombshell. He announced his own engagement to his girlfriend, Lily. And to add insult to injury, he set the date, time, and location to be exactly the same as mine. My parents, with their typical air of nonchalance, dismissed it as an unfortunate coincidence. But I knew better. Even the sea seemed to roll its waves in disbelief. The day of the wedding finally arrived. I put on my beautiful white gown, feeling like a princess. But as I walked down the aisle, the reality of the situation hit me like a ton of bricks. There was no sign of my family. They had all deserted me to attend Leo's engagement party on the other side of the city. I stood there, frozen in shock and heartbreak. But then, I remembered what my grandmother, Amelia Blackwood, had told me before she passed away 6 months ago. She had always been the one who truly understood me, the one who saw my worth. She knew that my family would try to undermine me, and she had taken steps to protect me. Amelia had left behind a multi-million-dollar estate, including a sprawling mansion in Beverly Hills, numerous investment accounts, and the Blackwood family business. Everyone, including my parents and Leo, assumed that the estate would go to them. But Amelia had a surprise in store. She left everything to me, with a very important clause. Any relative who intentionally sabotaged my wedding would be permanently disinherited. As I made that phone call at the empty wedding, I knew what was about to happen. At Leo's engagement party, the guests were raising their champagne glasses in celebration. Suddenly, a fleet of black SUVs pulled up. Lawyers stepped out, carrying folders so thick that they could have knocked out an elephant. The party came to an abrupt halt as the lawyers began to serve the papers. My parents' faces turned pale as they realized what was happening. Leo's eyes widened in horror, and his fiancée, Lily, looked at him with disgust. My parents lost their hopes of inheriting the fortune. Leo lost his trust fund, which he had been relying on for his lavish lifestyle. And Lily, seeing that the money was no longer in the picture, lost interest in Leo even before dessert was served. Their engagement ended as quickly as it had begun, long before the champagne had a chance to go flat. Meanwhile, back at my wedding, my husband Henry and I were surrounded by our true friends. Laughter filled the air, and the sound of the waves crashing against the shore was like a symphony of happiness. It was as if karma had come knocking on my family's door, dancing in designer heels. The best revenge, I've learned, isn't about getting even. It's about letting those who underestimated you watch their world crumble with just a single phone call. If you love stories where betrayal is met with justice, then stay tuned, because there are more jaw-dropping tales to come. So, there you have it. My story of betrayal, revenge, and the sweet taste of karma. It's a story that reminds us all that sometimes, the tables can turn in the most unexpected ways. And for me, it was a lesson in standing up for myself and showing my family that I was not the weak little girl they thought I was. I was the one in control, and I had the last laugh. As I sit here, looking back on that day, I'm filled with a sense of pride and closure. I've moved on from the pain of the past, and I'm focused on building a beautiful life with Henry. Our marriage is a testament to the power of love and resilience, and I know that no matter what challenges come our way, we'll face them together. The memory of that day will always be a part of me, a reminder of how far I've come and how strong I've become. And I'm grateful for every experience, good and bad, because they've shaped me into the person I am today. So, if you're going through a tough time, remember that there's always hope. Just like I did, you can turn your situation around and make those who doubted you pay. And who knows, maybe one day, you'll be the one telling your own story of triumph over adversity. I hope my story has inspired you. And if you want to hear more stories like this, be sure to subscribe and join me on this journey of revenge and redemption. Because in the end, justice always prevails, and those who do wrong will eventually face the consequences of their actions. Now, as I look out at the ocean, watching the waves roll in, I'm filled with a sense of peace and contentment. I've learned that true happiness comes from within, and no one can take that away from me. And I'm excited to see what the future holds, knowing that I'm in control of my own destiny.